Salam everybody, I hope you guys are well. Welcome to the class. Assalamu alaikum Fila, assalamu alaikum Sidra, assalamu alaikum Halima, kya haal chaal hai? Assalamu alaikum Saifullah, how's it going? Halima, assalamu alaikum Momna, assalamu alaikum Alina, Arisha, Nade, assalamu alaikum Ifra, assalamu alaikum Ahmed. Yes, of course, Fila, raise your hand, come on mic. Let me answer your question for you. Alina, assalamu alaikum, you raise your hand. How are you? And Alina has lowered her hand. Alina, do you have the mic? Apni screen pe dekho mic nazar aa raha hai. Chalo, at least ye
Sorry, sir, it was my mistake.
No, I know. That's a nice mistake to have. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Chale. Nice to hear your voice. Yes, Fila, assalamu alaikum. How's it going?
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, good, sir. How about you?
Not bad. Hanji, question put up.
Sir, my question was that, considering the difference between a measuring tape and a ruler, what is the maximum length up to which a measuring tape and a ruler can measure up to?
So meter rule ka naam, and if you remember, I specifically mentioned something about the meter rule. Can you guys please tell her what I mentioned about the meter rule, about its length?
That it measure long lengths, right?
No. Meter rule. It's in the name. Meter.
Up to 1 meter?
Meter, exactly. Why is it not called meters rule? Because it cannot measure several meters. It's called a meter rule because it can measure up to 1 meter. And
Right.
a measuring tape can measure up to many meters.
All
There's
right.
no limit. Yeah.
Sir, what about a normal ruler? What about
It depends. Like I'm sure you must have seen that you've got those small plastic rulers, then you've got a bigger ruler than the small one, 15 centimeters, 30 centimeters. So there's those rulers, their questions don't come. The standard is a meter rule.
Right.
Got it?
Yes. Thank you so much, sir.
Amazing. All right, guys. So do you remember yesterday we did this experiment where you were doing oscillations? And all of us had different answers, slightly different because of differences in starting and stopping. So I told you that there is a reaction error in it, which is known as human reaction error. Can you please note this down? Can you please, this is something we didn't write yesterday. I've just written it for you. Can you please note it down right now? Human reaction error kya hota hai? Human reaction error is the inaccuracy caused in measuring time due to the reaction time in starting or stopping the stopwatch. So it's the inaccuracy caused in measuring time due to the reaction time. And where does the reaction come? When you're starting the stopwatch or when you're stopping the stopwatch? Does the definition make sense? Some people who got us less time, small time, they basically started the stopwatch too quick. The ones who got larger time basically were slow to stop. In both cases, you have an error. Let me know when you guys are ready and when you've noted this down. Shabash. Phila, please lower your hand. Amazing. Halima Star is also done. Nade, Razine, Saif, Sidra, Momina, Shabash. आज मेरे साथ एक ऐसी चीज हुई. I was trying to study. I also study. So I was trying to study somewhere. और मेरे बिल्कुल सामने टेबल के ऊपर आके एक बंदा बैठ गया. उसको नजर आ रहा है कि मैं बहुत फोकस कर रहा हूँ और अपने फोन पे टिकटॉक देख रहा है. And I was like, यार मतलब इसको नजर आ रहा है, मैं पढ़ रहा हूँ और मैं because of his stupid TikToks and he was playing them loud. I had to speak up louder because जो मैं चीज पढ़ रहा था मुझे वो focus करने के लिए I had to speak louder, and the guy did not realize that I was studying, and then I had to ask somebody to come and remove him so that I can focus on my task at hand. Amazing. चले कभी हुआ है आप लोगों के साथ if you're trying to study and then suddenly 2 or 3 kids will come and sit right next to you and they will speak the loudest that they ever have in their lives, and you're like, what the hell? I'm not alone. I'm glad to know I'm not alone. Acha ji. So moving on. Now, let's discuss experiment. Give the setting, please. Experiment to measure the diameter of a rope. They go bonkers. Yeah. वो तेरा laughing fit पड़ जाता है. Arisha, what am I studying? Like, as in जो मैं खुद पढ़ा था, जहाँ मैं ये बंदा मुझे तंग कर रहा था. Oh, I'm usually studying physics. Um, but then I'm also preparing for some tests that I have to give, like the SATs. But many SATs, naturally, मेरा तो हो चुका है. My undergraduate is done. No, this is called why do I need to give tests? Because if you want to do a higher degree, like when I did my master's, I had to give a test. So now I'm preparing for, inshallah, hopefully for a PhD. So that's why I'm preparing. All right, so experiment to measure the diameter of a rope. Um, thank you. Experiment to measure the diameter of a rope. And guess what? My test is on Saturday. Let us Saturday go. और मैं आज अभी तुम लोगों को पढ़ा रहा हूँ और and that test has been weighing on my. I have been working non-stop since the past 2 weeks, and um, it has just been so crazy. But alhamdulillah, दुआ जरूर करना याद से. Experiment to measure the diameter of a rope. Now, they've given you the piece of equipment, they've given you a long piece of rope, a ruler, and a tape. Remember, you're not allowed micrometers or vernier calipers when they give you these pieces of information. So you have to use this, and this, and measure the diameter of rope. Now, think of your experiment. How will you do it? Yes, they've given you a ruler, they've given you tape. When they say tape, always remember it's measuring tape. No, actually, they've given you a ruler, so you could, it could be measuring tape, but here I'll specify that, yeah, it could be measuring tape. Okay, something. Measuring tape. There you go. They'll specify what type of tape it is. So right now it's measuring tape. Yes, please go ahead. Arisha, any ideas? Ruler is specified. It is meter. Ruler का मतलब होता है meter rule. There you go. Meter. No, this is not the other tape. This is not blue tack. Yes, Arisha.
Sir, if it's the measuring tape, then we can just open the measuring tape and measure the rope with it. We don't have to use meter rule.
But the problem is that it might not be as big a length as you're thinking.
Oh,
Like for
Um,
example, if it's this, can I measure the diameter of this with the tape? It's very difficult.
no. Then we have to measure the diameter. Oh, I thought it was length.
No, it's the diameter, not the length. Length measure करना होता है. Length कौन सा मुश्किल काम है? Length तो exactly. I know what you were saying. Yes, length can be measured by anything. I'm talking of diameter. Do we measure the circumference? No. I'll show you what you have to do. Give me 1 second. I'll give you an idea. I'll give you a hint. Sev, let me get you on the mic. Sev, can you raise your hand, please? Yes, Sev, go ahead. What's the thought that comes to your head?
Well, sir, I guess you could kind of use the measuring tape to get the width of the rope, and then you could use the ruler to get the length, and then you could mathematically deduce its cross-sectional area, and you could take it from there.
No, that's very too hard. I'll give you a hint. Here you go. What will you do? Halima, what if you reverse the two things? You wrap the rope around something. Think. You're thinking on the right lines. Rope keh lo, string keh lo. So string kar dete hain. String would be more apt. Where rope ke liye bhi same thing, but let's say it's a string. Think. All right, I'm going to tell you what the answer is. What you're going to do is, so you have this string and you want to measure the diameter of this. Nade, this is your first class. Nade, you will just continue taking notes of this. And then you're going to look at the previous videos and make your notes from there as well. Welcome to the class, Nade. So do you guys understand when I put this picture up, what we're going to do? And I think, Halima, this is what you wanted to say, right? You had to wrap this string around the ruler. Do you understand? You wrap this string around the ruler. So, likho isko. You wrap the string around the ruler, and then what? And then what will you do? देखो phrasing. हाँ, वैसे मैं ये बात बताऊं एक. Phrasing is so important in the exam. This kid who got a world distinction in 2022 was my student, and he had immaculate English. Really, really good. Proper phrase करता था, sentence structure बहुत अच्छा था, grammatical mistakes नहीं थी, and physics की knowledge हर किसी के पास होती है. But how many people are able to actually construct a proper sentence? That is, although you're doing O-level English, but still, when it comes to writing in the physics exam, we end up avoiding nouns or pronouns, which is not recommended. You should have the same sentence structure when you are giving your exam, especially if you're aiming for a higher grade. So over here, you will wrap the string around the ruler. Like for example, I'll give you an example of what I mean. If somebody says wrap string around ruler, मुझे बताओ, बात तो समझ आ गई है, but is it grammatically correct? If you remove the from here and the from here, wrap string around ruler. No. So when I'm explaining, maybe I skip it, but for your exam, you should know that your English has to be immaculate. Like no mistakes. So wrap the string around the ruler. Then what do? You measure the length using the ruler, or even if you want, you could measure the length using measuring tape. Now it's up to you because you've got two things. You could have said that I will put my measuring tape over here. Does that make sense? No. Or if you don't want to use measuring tape, that's also completely fine because you can easily note what this reading and what this reading is. Does that also make sense? समझ आई ये बात की कि मैं क्या कह रहा हूँ? that you have two ways of measuring length. You could measure it directly off from the ruler with which you're measuring, but if you feel it's difficult, then you just put your measuring tape, and with that measuring tape, you can easily read off the length. So whatever way you find convenient, just make sure you write that down. Measure the length using the ruler. And finally, what do? I had to measure the diameter. So isn't this the diameter of this rope? What do you guys think? Is this the diameter of the rope? Yes or no? Thickness, the diameter. So how will you measure the diameter? Jaldi batao. The diameter of the string, will be the number of turns, no, not the number of turns, it will be the length divided by the number of turns. Is it clear, everyone? Well done, guys. Make sense? So far, so good. Sabko clear ho gaya? So you all understand how to measure the diameter of a string without a vernier caliper or a micrometer. Of course, vernier caliper micrometers will give you a very specific, precise answer, but this is also one of the ways they ask for this in the ATP. Nadir, are you with me? Although you haven't done the previous chapter so far, whatever we've covered, but does this experiment make sense to you? Let me know. Noor, Razine, can we go ahead? Have you all written this down, guys? Chalo. Nadir, one more thing you have to do is when you are looking through the app, you go to the resources tab. Over there, you are going to find our academic plan, which will tell you what exactly we're doing and what exactly we're going to do in the next few weeks. There's a document over there, okay? Chale ji, ugly heading day, mass and weight. Everyone, please give the heading for mass and weight. So we've done weight, we've done mass, but we haven't really compared the two things. So today we're going to compare them. What is mass? Write this down. Mass is the amount of matter in a body. Yes, this is still the first chapter. Weight is, write this down. Weight is the force of gravity acting on the body. Make sense? Mass is the amount of matter in a body. Weight is the force which pulls you down, the force of gravity acting on the body. Two different things. The second thing you could write is the unit for mass is kilograms. What's the unit for weight, guys? What is the unit for weight? Newton, as you all know, we discussed this. Newton is the unit. Third thing, and that's something which is coming next after this. Mass is a scalar quantity, whereas weight is a vector. Well done, Philip. Mass is scalar, weight is vector. And number 4, here, yeah. Number 4, the fourth difference. Mass does not change. For example, if you are 50 kilos on Earth, you will still weigh 50 kilos on Moon. Does that make sense? On the Moon. Are you guys with me? So please make sure that when you're writing your expressions down, you're writing them in proper English. So this can this be a difference between mass is based on quantity, whereas weight is right? No. That's not a difference. They're both physical quantities. So that is what the actual thing is. Mass does not change. Mass on Earth and mass on Moon are the same. Can weight change? Think about it. Can weight change? Why does weight change? Shabash. You're right, absolutely right. Weight changes with gravity. Because it depends on gravity. Well done. देखो ना, the formula is W is equals to mg, है ना? The formula is W is equals to mg. Now, G on Earth, what was the value? G on Earth, and what was the value of G on Moon? I told you yesterday. जल्दी से बताओ. G on Earth is 9.81 Newton per kg, and G on Moon is 1.66 Newton per kg. So naturally, if even if you have the same mass, let's say the mass is 50 kilograms, when you put 9.81, you'll get a different answer. When you put 1.66, you will get a different answer. Does that make sense? So that is why we say weight depends on gravity. Ahmed has a question. I have a question. When we do numerical questions, and suppose we have the mass in grams, you have to convert it into kilograms. Remember, Ahmed, first day I made a table of those 7 quantities, and I mentioned in that table, if you remember, I'll take you back there in just a second. I mentioned this. Where is it? Here we are. So, first lecture, and this is also for you, Nade. First lecture, when we were discussing these quantities, length, mass, time, temperature, remember that these units are the units that have to be used in all of your, ye dekho, ye kya likha hua hai? You remember? For all calculation-based questions, the units that have to be used are base units. You remember this exercise that we did? For example, time, I gave you 3 options, second, hours, and minutes, and I asked you what time would you use? So मुझे बताओ length में what unit should you use? Centimeters, inches, or meters for your calculations? Always remember meters. And the base is over here. If you ever forget, always come back to this table. This table will be, that's why it's so important, the first lecture. The first lecture will tell you what unit you have to use. Are you guys with me on this? So far, so good, everyone. Ready? यहाँ तक लिख लिया सबने? Amazing. All right, guys. So we are now finally at the last section of this chapter, which is scalars and vectors. Please give the heading and write down scalar quantity, and then write down vector quantity, and we will write down the definition. First, let's discuss scalar quantity. Can I ask Sidra? Sidra, what do you know about scalar quantities? Anything at all?
Which have both magnitude and direction.
Scalar or vector? Scalar की बात करें.
Scalar.
Phila, what do you think?
Sir, I think the scalar quantities, they only include magnitude and a unit, whereas the vector quantities, they include a magnitude, a unit, and a direction.
Yeah. The scalar quantity is basically a quantity which has magnitude only. A quantity which has magnitude only. Exactly not. Exactly, Mishal. Well done. Halima, well done. A quantity which has magnitude only. For example, now give some examples. You have distance, speed. What else? Distance, speed, तो मैंने भी लिख दिया, Seth. Tell me more. And let's keep writing. Time. Okay, I can read time. What else? Halima Star. Temperature. Of course. What else? Length is distance, so length लिखने का फायदा नहीं है. Mass, of course. What else? Energy, yes. Energy is scalar. What else? Energy, work. We'll write down all of the terms, but they'll come later, and when they'll come, we'll discuss them in detail. But today we're just writing down all of the terms. Energy, work, hour, they're all scalar. Got it. Is this clear? Are you guys with me? These are all scalar quantities. Now let's discuss what a vector quantity is. It is a quantity which has magnitude and direction. A quantity which has both magnitude and direction. Exactly. Ready? So let's give some examples. Well done, Nade. You're already getting in the swing of things. For example, you have, let's start off with distance. Distance का vector क्या होगा? Distance is scalar. इसी का मुझे vector बताओ. Distance का vector is displacement. Speed का vector बताओ. Speed ऊपर लिखा हुआ है, speed का vector नीचे लिखो. Speed का vector is velocity. Velocity. Then I read acceleration. Then what else? Acceleration के बाद और बताएं. Force, weight, moment, momentum, pressure is scalar. Pressure that I got. Pressure is scalar. What about area? Is area scalar or vector? Area. Area scalar. Well done. What about volume? Is volume scalar or vector? Volume. Volume is also scalar because it doesn't have direction. So what about density? Think. What about density? Shabash. देखो. What about electric field strength? Saif, no. अभी बताता हूँ electric field strength के बारे में. Electric field strength के बारे में, electric current के बारे में बताता. Electric field strength is a vector quantity. What about gravitational field strength? Gravity. Electric field. You could write electric field or electric field strength. You could write gravitational field or gravitational field strength. Same thing. Bishop, you can add the word strength. Strength. Saif mentioned something which is known as current or electric current. Electric current is not a vector quantity because of the way it is described, the way it is defined. Electric current happens to be a scalar quantity. Please write this down here. Because I'll give you the reason why. लिख लो. Note में लिख लो. यहाँ पे लिखो ताकि ये याद रहे. Electric current की definition लिखो. Electric current is the rate of flow of charge. Now read the definition. When you write rate of flow of charge, Saif, it's automatically per unit time. Now, if I ask you guys, what does flow mean? Does it give any direction? Flow. Flow means movement. Flow का simple मतलब क्या है? Flow का मतलब movement. And movement can be in any direction. Does that make sense? So because of this, those movements, we categorize electric current as a scalar quantity because the definition has nothing which which dictates or which tells us that it's going to be a vector quantity. Do you understand? If you look at the definition, everything charge, is charge scalar or vector? Charge. Positive charge, negative charge, scalar or vector? Scalar. So there is nothing in the definition which suggests that there's some particular direction in which you're going. Hence, we categorize current or electric current as a scalar quantity. Are you guys with me so far? Does it make sense? Abiha, Fareen, you're so quiet. Fareen, kaisi ho? How was school? On the mic.
Hello, how are you?
Yes, sun rahi ho? Likh rahi ho?
I am.
Okay. How was school?
It was good.
It was good. Good. So that means you had a great day. Did you have a
Yeah.
test?
No, not today.
Not today. That's why it was a good day.
Yeah.
Okay. So I hate tests. I mean, to this stage, I hate tests. And the worst days are the ones in which I have tests. When I'm studying myself. And the lead up to the test, I still have cold hands before my tests. And I still have a raised heartbeat. No matter how difficult or how easy the test is, I still have those same symptoms which I had back in my O levels. And to add on top of that, I have my beautiful daughter who will definitely come in when I'm preparing, and she will make sure that she slaps me on my head and tells me that I'm a silly man. Chale, आगे चलते हैं. So scalar quantity and vector quantity. She hates it when I'm studying. चले जी. So scalar quantity and vector quantity बहुत मतलब उसको ना शौक है कि बस खेलते रहें और पढ़ाई ना हो. आगे चलते हैं. Let's discuss what is the difference between these two. So if I ask you that let's discuss mathematical analysis of scalars and vectors. सबसे पहले तो let's discuss scalar. So मुझे बताओ, guys, if I have a length of 3 meters and I add another length of 4 meters, what will be my final length? It's an easy question, but just answer the question for me and write it down. I know it's a silly question. I know you feel old, but believe me, it's important. 7 meters. Number one. Similarly, if you subtract, you will get a smaller answer. Makes sense. That also makes sense. अब मुझे एक और चीज बताओ, which is going to tell me whether you truly understand scalars or not. If I say the temperature is minus 15 degrees Celsius, and I say that the temperature is plus 40 degrees Celsius, what does minus 15 mean? Is the temperature in the opposite direction, or is it a low temperature? Is it a high temperature? What does it mean? So whether I say minus 15 or whether I say minus 40, can you guys tell me which is a lower value? Minus 15 or minus 40? Which value is lower? Okay. This is a lower value. Write this down. This is a lower value. Because it's simple. The more negative you are, the smaller you are. And that's what you've done in O levels, right? This is exactly what you've done in grade 8, grade 7 math, that the more negative your number is, the smaller it is. Yes. And similarly, when you have a positive number like 40, this is basically a high value. Correct? And if I write 50, then 50 is going to be higher than 40. Yahan tak sare mere saath mein scalar is easy because you've all done this all of your life. Ab aao vector ke upar. There comes the real deal. vectors. For vectors, I'm going to take the example of force. So मैंने पहले length की example ली थी, now I'm going to take the example of force. Because you know force is a vector quantity. You can read it over here. Force is vector. You guys ready? Noor, Razine, with me? Musa, Momina, Kaniz? Okay. Amazing. Force. I have this object and I apply a force of 4 newtons on it in this direction. Then apply a force of 3 newtons in this direction. Oh, sorry, 13 newtons in this direction. Can you guys tell me what will be the total force? Or what will be the resultant? Resultant. That's 13 and 4. Look at the size of the arrow. So the resultant is going to be 13 plus 4, which is 17 newtons. And there's a direction, 13 Newton to the right. You can say 17 Newton to right, or you can say or east. Does this make sense? Because you've got north, south, east, and west. You can say to the right, or you could say or east. Either to the right, of course, to the right. ठीक है? Are you with me? अच्छा, एक और चीज सुनना. कोई भी vector quantity हो, any vector quantity, remember it is represented by this arrow. Any vector quantity, where the length of the arrow tells us something, and the arrowhead tells us something. The arrowhead. The length of the arrow, write this down somewhere. Note this down. The length of the arrow represents the magnitude, and the arrowhead represents direction. And the arrowhead can be in the middle, the arrowhead can be here, the arrowhead can be here, doesn't matter. आप arrowhead इधर बनाओ या इधर बनाओ, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. ये बात clear होगी? So, if somebody makes this, look at this. If somebody makes this question, is this a vector? They make a dotted line and they put an arrow. Is this a vector? Note में लिखो इसमें. They make a dotted line and they put an arrow. Is this a vector, guys? Michelle, what do you think? Phila says, yes, it is. Razine, Nade, Musa, Jaldi batao, Shabash, Kaniz, Ibrahim, Ahmed. Give me your answer in the chat. Do you think, Fatima, do you think this is vector? No, it is not. Because yaad rakho, vectors ka jo length hota hai, wo thick line hona chahiye, not a dotted line. So this is not a vector. So always remember that when you're making your arrows, the length of the arrow has to be a thick line, not a dotted line. Is it clear? So यहाँ पे देखो, मैंने दोनों thick lines बनाई हैं, and the reason why I made this line longer is because it has greater magnitude. Does that make sense? This cannot be 3, because if it's 3, then it has to be smaller. I made it bigger, so it had to be 13. So 13 plus 4 gives you 17. Make sense? Acha, similarly, please answer this question for me. I have 13 newtons this way, 4 newtons this way, and I have 20 newtons this way. Question मेरा गौर से सुनना. Assuming right side to be positive. Assuming right side to be positive, what is the resultant? Shabash. Assuming right side to be positive, what is the resultant? अब गौर से सुनो. I said assuming, did you guys write this down? This statement, assuming right side to be positive. That means, well done, Halim. You must start, you were the only one who has the right answer. So this is plus, this is going to be plus, and this is going to be minus. Does this make sense? जब वो लिख दे, assuming right side to be positive, you have to put signs. Whenever you have two directions, Javano, in vectors, you have to put signs. Remember this. Note में लिखो. Whenever vectors are in two directions, always assume the right side to be positive. हाँ गौर से सुनना सैफुल्ला मैं भी अभी समझा I'll explain. पहले ये लिख लें. जब मेरा जो सवाल था उसके अंदर दो ही ऑप्शंस थे. Either you could have said that the resultant is 3 newtons, or you could have said that the resultant is minus 3 newtons. What would your answer be? Would it be A? Would it be B? I've given you two options. Either it's A or it's B. What is your answer? Remember. Saifullah, does this make sense? That because we've assumed right side to be positive, hence when I'm taking my resultant, I will write plus 13 plus 4 minus 20, or you can write minus 20 plus 13 plus 4. It's up to you. You can swap the places. G for in मैंने इसे लिखवा दिया. So in every case, whenever you have vectors in two directions, vectors. Whenever you have vectors in two directions, you will always assume right side be positive. Now, Ifra has asked why. Ifra, मुझे ये बताओ हमने वेक्टर के बारे में क्या डिसाइड किया था? Vector quantities are the quantities which have magnitude and direction, correct? So मुझे ये बताओ, how will we know whether 20 Newton is pointing left or right? And how will we know 13 is pointing left or right? We will know that by the signs. That is why it is so important to put the sign whenever you have two that. Is question में क्यों नहीं matter? Why did it not matter here? Because both the vectors were pointing in the same direction. So you simply said, okay, this is plus 13, this is plus 4, you added them. But if they're in opposite directions, how will I know which is right and which is left? I will know by the way you put your signs. So plus 13 plus 4 minus 20, minus is coming because the direction was opposite. अभी करते हैं फिलहाल. पहले इसको देख लें. So my answer will be minus 3 newtons and this is B. Are you guys with me on this? Now what they can do is, and listen to this point very, very carefully. So even if they have not specified to assume, you will always assume. मैंने इसे लिख दिया always assume it to, if they have not specified, of course. If they have not specified, then you will always assume it to the right. Yes, Fareen, I can. So, मुझे ये बताओ, 13 के साथ plus लिखना चाहिए because it's pointing right? Yes or no? और 4 के साथ भी plus लिखना चाहिए because it's pointing right? So, ये plus 13 plus 4 लिख दिया. Now, ये 20 point कर रहा है किधर? Left. So should I write it as plus 20 or minus 20? Minus 20. And that is how I get minus. Now try to understand. They can ask you this question. What is the significance of the negative sign? What's the importance of the negative sign? What does it tell you? Significance of what does it tell you? What is the negative sign telling you? That the resultant force is this 3 Newton force that you've calculated is in what direction? Is it towards the right side or is it towards the left side? Now you read this part again. Now you read this part again. If the right side is positive and you're getting a negative answer, what does that mean? Noor, that's what I'm trying to say. What does this negative sign mean? The negative sign simply means that this object is going to go left. Resultant means overall. The negative sign over here, the negative sign shows the direction of the resultant force. The direction is left. Does this make sense? So won't we put direction? Mashal, that is the beauty. When you put this negative sign and the question says right side is positive. Question में लिखा होता है right side is positive. आपका आंसर आ गया -3 न्यूटन. So -3 न्यूटन खुद बता देगा हमें खुद ही -3 पढ़ेंगे, ये assumption पढ़ेंगे, हमें खुद पता चल जाएगा कि अच्छा, so that actually meant 3 newtons to the left. So -3 न्यूटन को एक और तरीके से जो इंटरप्रेट किया जा सकता है, -3 न्यूटन लिखो. -3 newton means 3 newtons to the left. Does this make sense? G, Phila, this is based on this assumption that we have mentioned here in this part, which is this one. Are you guys with me to this stage? Have I answered your question, Noor? Saifullah, मैं भी आगे जाऊंगा. अभी I'll go ahead. अभी तुम ज्यादा आगे चले गए हो, but मेरे साथ अभी यहाँ पे ही रहो और मुझे ये बताओ क्या -3 समझ आती है? अच्छा, now, of course, अगर आपको मैं एक और सवाल दूं, एक और सवाल देखो. मेरे से में एक और सवाल है, but before I go there, why don't you guys do this question? I have this object. I have a 20 Newton force over here, and I have a 5 Newton force this way. And I now say, question likho, question is, assume left side to be positive. What is the resultant force? And Fareen मैंने बता दिया, resultant का मतलब होता है overall. What is the resultant force now? बताएं जी. अब बताएं आपका आंसर positive 15 आ रहा है या negative 15 आ रहा है? So if I give you two options, A and B, and I say plus 15 newtons and I say minus 15 newtons, what answer are you getting? You're getting plus 15. And if I ask you, what does plus 15 mean? Would you be able to tell? What does plus 15 mean? Fareen, on the mic, please explain, what does plus 15 mean?
Plus 15 means it's gonna be on the right side.
Is it going to be on the right side or the left side? Look at the assumption.
But the answer isn't positive, so
Let's see. So मुझे बताओ, in this, when I said left side will be positive, would you take 20 as positive or negative?
positive,
So I write plus 20. And would I take 5 as positive or negative?
negative,
So I write minus 5. So what is the answer?
15
Plus or minus?
plus.
Plus. So what does this plus mean?
The direction is gonna be towards the right.
Towards the right or towards the left? ये देखो तुमने positive किसको लिया है? Left side को नहीं लिया. Positive तुमने 20 के सामने लिखा. Is 20 to the left or to the right?
लेकिन in the last question minus
Yes.
3 आ रहा था.
हाँ, उसके अंदर मैंने assumption क्या ली हुई थी? Which side is positive?
Right,
Right side was positive. इधर क्या लिया हुआ?
left. Oh, okay.
Do you understand the difference?
Yeah, I do.
So you have to be very careful. If they don't give you in the question, which direction is positive, what direction will you take as positive? Jaldi se batao, in summary. If they don't give you in the question, which direction will you take as positive? The right side. But in this specific question, फिलहाल तुमने एक सवाल पूछा कि अगर वो कह दे assume left side भी positive, अब मुझे बताओ आप right side को positive ले सकते हैं जब उसने लिख दिया क्वेश्चन के अंदर, जब उसने क्वेश्चन में स्पेसिफाई कर दिया assume left side भी positive, अब आप कह दो नहीं जी मेरा दिल कर रहा है right side should be positive, तो कहेगा ठीक है मेरा दिल कर रहा है मैं नंबर काट दूं. Do you understand? So if they don't mention, like in this question, it wasn't mentioned, or maybe I did mention here, right side will be positive. But sir, what will the direction? Fill up. ये +15 पहले जवाब आ गया, yes or no? पहले तो ये बताएं. Okay. Now, positive is left side or right side? In this question, positive is which side? Left side. So what will I say? Where is the resultant force? To the left or to the right? G. So plus 15 Newton का मतलब है that there will be a 15 Newton force to, बताओ Fareen on the mic, for this question. To the left or to the right?
To the left.
To the left. जी Fareen अपना question mic पे पूछो जल्दी से, शाबाश.
Sir, my question was that I'm confused in जो हमने like last question किया है. उसकी side right की तरफ थी, लेकिन answer negative में था, so we chose left. But for this question,
No. ऐसा कुछ नहीं था. कोई हमने इस तरह नहीं किया. हमने तो सिर्फ ये किया, हमने क्वेश्चन देखा, हमने ये क्वेश्चन देखा, और उसके बाद हमने देखा कि assume लिखा हुआ है assuming right side भी positive. सही है?
yeah.
अब right side पे कितनी forces हैं? कौन सी हैं? बताओ.
2, 13 and 4.
तो मैंने 13 के साथ प्लस लिखा, 4 के साथ प्लस लिखा. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
And what about 20? Is that left or right?
It's left, so negative.
So therefore I wrote -20. अब इससे जवाब क्या आया?
-3.
अब -3 न्यूटन का मतलब क्या है कि 3 न्यूटन वाली फोर्स का क्या डायरेक्शन है? नेगेटिव आ गया. नेगेटिव कौन सी साइड होगी?
Left.
Exactly, because इस क्वेश्चन में राइट साइड को पॉजिटिव लिया हुआ है, तो नेगेटिव विल बी 3 नेगेटिव विल बी लेफ्ट.
Oh,
Does it make
okay, I
sense?
get it now. Yeah, I do get it.
So according to this question, right side is positive, and you got a negative answer, which means that this 3 Newton force is pointing in this direction. This is the resultant force. और खुद भी सोचो, जरा 2 मिनट के लिए सोचो, एक साइड पे 20 न्यूटन की फोर्स है और एक साइड पे, look at me, एक साइड पे 20 न्यूटन की फोर्स है और एक साइड पे 17 न्यूटन की फोर्स है. मुझे बताओ आप किधर जाओगे, 20 की तरफ या 17 की तरफ? दो लोग आपको खींच रहे हैं ऑपोजिट डायरेक्शन में. Where will you go? You'll go in the direction of 20. What is the direction of 20? Is it right or left? This 20. इसके ऊपर लिखो ताकि ये कंफ्यूजन खत्म हो. This is left side and this is right side. ये बिल्कुल वो गाड़ी चलाते हुए वो सीन हो जाता है ना, एकदम से बंदे को लेफ्ट टर्न करो राइट टर्न कर जाते हैं. लेफ्ट और राइट लिखे उसके ऊपर. फिलहाल can I have you on the mic?
Yes, sir.
जी फिलहाल आप मुझे बताओ पहले ये वाली एग्जांपल क्लियर हुई है, yes or no, जो अभी की है, लेफ्ट और राइट इसके बारे में.
Sir, I am a little clear about this
No,
example.
tell me what's the confusion here? You should be 100% clear.
Sir, I don't understand how, like, here is the previous people said that right side is like positive, but in the first question we chose the answer to be towards the left, whereas in the second
एक सेकंड. अगले सवाल पे जाने से पहले यहाँ पे रहो और मुझे ये बताओ, if this question is given,
Yes.
question is given and it says right side to be positive, does it have anything to do with the next question?
no.
No. So let's take one question at a time. Now, if this is 13 and this is 4 and it's pointing to the right side, and the question says right side is positive, should you write plus with them or minus with them?
Plus.
So plus 13 plus 4 sense बन गई.
Yes.
Now 20 is to the left. Should 20 के साथ positive आना चाहिए, negative आना चाहिए?
Negative.
So negative 20 की make sense?
Yes.
Now इनको solve करके what answer do you get?
-3 newtons.
Now my question is, where is this 3 Newton force acting? Is it acting to the right or to the left? Tell me by looking at this negative sign. What is your answer?
Towards the left, because the negative sign is towards the left
Towards
side.
the left. Yes.
Yes.
Now you come to this question, which has nothing to do with the other question. अब इसको देखो.
Yes.
ये question है, there are two forces. Now I'm
Yeah.
saying assume left side to be positive. So मुझे
Alright.
बताओ 20 will be positive or 5 will be positive. ये बताएं.
20.
So मैं यहाँ पे भी लिख देता हूँ. This is left and you also write this down. Left and right. So is
Yeah.
20 positive or negative?
It's positive.
And what about 5?
It's negative.
So what is 20 minus 5?
15
Plus or minus?
plus.
What does this plus mean? Where are you going?
It means we're going to the left.
So tell me what the confusion is.
Yes, now I'm clear. Thank you so much, sir.
Brilliant, guys. I hope that this is clear, everyone. The direction thing, by looking at the answer and looking at your assumption, you should be able to tell in a second. Assumption ke saath answer ko padho, you should be able to tell in 1 second what is happening. Done? Chale ji. That is all for today. Thank you so much. Do remember me in your prayers because I have an exam coming up. So take care. See you guys inshallah in the next class. Thank you. Take care. Revise karke aana. Khud Hafiz. Allah Hafiz. Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks. Bye-bye. Yes, of course, I will. I will. Also, some of you are in my next class as well, right? Is anybody here who's in the next class? Can you please message in the group that I just have to say my prayers very quickly, so I'll start the class in 5 minutes? Can you mention it in that group? Amazing. Thank you. Take care, guys. See you in the next class.